Good evening, ladies. How are we? It is Monday. It's a chilly Monday evening here in Brisbane. Apparently it's going to be down to 6 degrees tonight, and we're not used to that here in Queensland, right? It was 8 degrees this morning. That was enough for me. I've been sat here today wrapped in a blanket with my Ugg boots on. I still have my Ugg boots on. Anyway, so those of you that are joining me this evening, welcome. We're talking about managing depression in perimenopause. So there's a lot of information out there on mental health, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm a former nurse and a psychiatric nurse as well. So this subject is really close to my heart in that, you know, if only I knew what I knew now 20, 30 years ago when I was nursing, the difference that we could have made in some of those patients' lives. Like, it really is really sad that, you know, all that we could give them was, at that time, you know, it was cognitive therapy, medication, some nutrients, but not a lot was known about it then. So anyway, we're going to be covering that this evening, because I know for a lot of women in perimenopause, like that feeling of, it's not full on clinical depression, right? But it is. You feel low, you feel sad, you've got anxiety. There's a lot going on, and there's a reason why it's going on. But then people go to their GPs and they get put on medication, which can be stopped, right? You don't need to be on medication, guys. There's so much more that we can do. And what I want to bring to you today, in a moment, I'll talk about this, is the sort of what's going on around nutritional psychiatry, and how now there's studies out there on how food can affect your mood, and how food can actually get you out of that slump of how you're feeling. And there's a lot to do with, the nutrients that we're putting into our bodies. So for those of you new here, welcome. Welcome to Time to Thrive, a fresh approach to menopause for leaders. This group is full of information. I go live every single Monday on a topic related to perimenopause. I have been in this industry, I'm 49, and I've been working in health since I was 18. So you work that one out, ladies. A long time, right? And I've obviously spent part of that time as a nurse, and then the rest of my time I've spent in preventative medicine. So, perimenopause for me was a shock to my system. I really struggled for 2 years, back and forth with doctors, with GPs, getting nowhere, frustrated to the hilt, not understanding why, because I ate the same story I hear from a lot of ladies. I ate really well. I exercised every day. I didn't really drink a lot, but my body was changing, and I didn't understand what was going on and how I could change it. But now I have the answers for you, because I'm 49. It took me 10 years to get here. So for those of you watching this evening, good evening. Hey, Pam. Hey, Alex. Hey, Monica. Where are you guys coming in from? And is it as cold as Brisbane? Like, let me know, because we are going down to 6 degrees tonight. That's cold in Brizzy, right? Alrighty. So depression. I have some stats here. Depression isn't caused by menopause, but studies show around 20% of women experience symptoms of it during this time. So 20%, it's not a huge amount, but it's enough, right? And there's a lady who I've been following for quite a while who works in the field of what we call nutritional psychiatry. So back in the day when I was taught, and I was, doing my nursing, it was like we were taught that the head and the body were completely disconnected. Alrighty, so everything I dealt with to do with the brain in psychiatry had nothing to do with the rest of the body. Like, go figure. What we know now is very different, right? And we know all of these systems are linked, and we know intrinsically that the gut has a link to the brain. And I think, now there's research out there. People are definitely more accepting and understanding that food is definitely medicine. Alrighty. So there's a lady who I follow who's called 𝗧𝗽𝗧𝗃, and she did some studies. It was called the SMILE study back in 2010. And that study, she was basically looking at women's diets and the actual quality of women's diets and how that was linked to depression. So this was like a, you know, and pretty much out there study because, you know, when it came to depression and linking it with food, you know, everyone just thought she was crazy. And all she got over a 3-year period was 67 subjects. Can you imagine how hard it was? They needed people who were clinically depressed, who were really, you know, struggling with life and, you know, who needed to change up their diet. And so, I mean, for those of you, you know, who maybe have dealt with someone who's clinically depressed, they actually don't eat that well. They're not really interested in food. The medications actually numb how they're feeling. So a lot of the time it's really hard to get food into them. And, you know, like anyone, when you're not feeling that great, there's a trigger, right, to go and eat comforting foods or foods that make you feel better because it releases that dopamine. So this lady, 𝗵𝗡 took 67 subjects, all who had clinical depression, and over 3 months, they had 2 subjects. So they had subjects A or group A who had dietary help. So they would basically increase their diet. They basically were given a Mediterranean diet, lots of nuts and seeds, fish, olive oil. So we're getting your omegas in, we're getting our veggies in, so we're getting all those polyphenols. And then they had the B group, which was a befriending support group. So all they got was basically support, where you had someone coming and talk to you. And yeah, lo and behold, the dietary group, actually 1/3 of the subjects at the end of the 3 months had come out of depression just by changing their diet for 3 months. And you know what? They didn't actually go hard on the diet in terms of, you know, it had to be anything really special. All they got them eating was more tinned fish, so tins of fish, more lentils and legumes, so things like your navy beans, kidney beans, those types of things, more of those, at least 5 cups of veggies a day, increase their fluid intake of water, and those guys within 3 months were clear of having clinical depression just from changing their diet. So guys, those of you in perimenopause who've been put on medication, just maybe try changing your diet, adding in some nuts and seeds, adding in some tinned tuna, adding in some olive oil, adding in some colorful veggies, all right? So the diversity of what you're eating is so important. What tends to happen these days is that we tend to just stick to the same things, or people tend to stick to the same things because that's what their family's like. But what happens there is we have this less diverse food going in, so it means that affects our microbiome, alrighty? And needs to be diverse, and needs to be really colorful in order for us to get everything that we need for good gut health, which obviously has effect on our brain, alrighty? So, you know, what these people did is they ditched the junk food and the packaged foods. They had more frozen vegetables. So rather than getting fresh veggies, which, you know, for someone who's sitting at home, not feeling that great, to try and, you know, prepare veggies and cook them. So they were able to just get, you know, veggies out the freezer, use those, use their tinned fish, use their tinned legumes. And as I say, 1/3 of those subjects went into full remission, which, you know, that's pretty cool, right? Give me a thumbs up if you think that's good. Has anyone on here, you know, had someone that they've had to deal with who's had depression, or if you felt it yourself, or you're struggling with anxiety now? You know, a lot of the anxiety that we're feeling in perimenopause, because obviously all these are, you know, all this is linked. You know, we do get a big drop in that progesterone, and progesterone is our happy hormone. So for those of you that, you know, might be feeling quite a lot of anxiety, that could be one of your reasons. The other reason is our sodium and potassium levels. So they tend to drop. And most people that I test, when I see the HTMA results, they've got very low sodium, potassium. Those two are really important electrolytes, along with some others. But those two particularly, you know, for your adrenal function, for instance, you need sodium, potassium. So ladies, what you can do for yourself is drop a bit of salt into a drink or into some water in the morning with a squeeze of lemon, or you could pop a hydrolyte in a glass. If you go to the gym in the morning, pop that in your water bottle. That will help you feel less anxious for sure, because we need to get that sodium, potassium levels up. Alrighty, so ladies, changing the quality of the food that you're eating is directly linked to depression. Go figure. So we need to stop eating junk food. We need to prepare healthy meals. We need to be having at least 5 to 6 cups of veggies a day. So you need to look at how you're getting that in. You need a good protein source at least 3 times a day. You need to have your oily fish. You need to get those omegas in. Omega-3 is key. You need to ditch the omega-6s. Omega-6 is found in a lot of your packaged foods and all the, you know, all the wrong things that we're eating basically. So when it comes to what's going on in the brain, 90% of the signals from the gut, or 90% signals go from the gut to the brain, and 10% of the signals go from the brain to the gut. Alrighty, so there's this huge link that right there in terms of what's going on in our brains. Alrighty, so other things that we can do to help us if we're not feeling, you know, that great, or you're having really teary moments. Obviously brain fog is part of this as well. Difficulty concentrating, not being able to think clearly, you know, those feelings of worthlessness, losing your self-confidence and self-esteem. That's what I see that a fair bit in a lot of my clients, especially those that are in, you know, high up positions that have maybe had to quit their jobs because they're not coping. Like, this is not okay. It's not okay for women for this to be happening, alrighty? So other things that we can do is we can cut down the alcohol. I know, sorry, I feel like the bearer of bad news, right? But, you know, you've got to start maybe giving yourself a little bit of a break and have, you know, maybe just leave that for weekends, nothing during the week. You know, fill your glass with a good mineral water. At least there you're getting some nutrients in it. You're going to get some magnesium, which we need, which is going to help. We're going to get some sodium in there. You're going to get some potassium as well. So good mineral waters. Any of the ones on the shelves in the supermarkets will do, but they need to have the minerals in them. Santa Vittoria and those type are really, you know, are really good. And you'll taste the difference. Your sleep as well. Getting off your screen, I cannot, you know, it really is an issue for a lot of people, and people going to bed looking at their phones. Guys, get your phone out your bedroom, find yourself an alarm clock or another way to wake yourself up, and put your phone downstairs or in the kitchen or somewhere out of your way, because those EMFs are having a constant, you know, battle with your body. Plus the blue screen is an issue in itself. And then we've got the effects of the dopamine, okay? So every time you're scrolling and you're looking at stuff, it's giving your brain a hit. And that is then sending signals to want more and want more and want more. Hence why your kids can't get off their bloody screens. So that is really important too. So if you can, you know, find a way in the evening not to be on your phone, or buy a cover to go over your screen, glasses, like the Blu-ray glasses. Like, you need to invest in this stuff, guys, if you're on your phones at night or you're having to work at night, because it's directly impacting your brain, which can obviously then you're not sleeping well, which again impacts our mood and how we feel. So that's a big one. Other things that we can do is ditch your sugar as well. So as much as you can, get sugar out of your diet. And I mean, like, eliminate it for as long as you can, because that again has a massive impact on our gut, which then has a massive impact on our brain. Alrighty. What else can I tell you about the things that you can potentially do? Let me have a look here. 70% of, I've just put some stats down here, 70% of our immune cells are also in our gut as well. So if you're finding you're getting sick, that can be a bit of a, you know, a knock-on effect there as well. And then obviously exercise. So I know exercise can feel hard when you're not feeling that well. and it can feel hard if you've got joint aches. But guys, it really does support your system, and it will really help release those feel-good hormones as well. So it's a bit of a sort of a catch-22 when, evening ladies, hope you're well. Those of you just come on. Yeah, they have actually done some research with exercise to show that it is as effective as medication. I know when I was nursing and I was working on I was actually on I worked at one of the Priory hospitals in Southampton in the UK. So it was a private hospital, and the food there was actually really good. Like, they did get fed really well, but a lot of the time they didn't feel like eating because medication made them feel so yucky that they didn't really want to eat. But when I used to take them out and play volleyball, they all used to come in and they were all on an absolute high because we'd released those endorphins. We got them moving, we got the blood flowing. They felt good, right? So I know sometimes it's really hard to get yourself moving, but even if you can just start with some walking, you know, get those 10,000 steps up when you've got that under your belt. You know, in Queensland here, we have some amazing parks, and they are absolutely decked out with equipment that you can go and do a workout on. Even if you do some, you know, body weight exercises down at the park, running up a hill a few times, get that heart rate up, just some really basic stuff. YouTube is brilliant for that stuff these days. You can look up an at-home 10-minute workout and move your body. Dance. Like, we've all got these smart TVs. Put some music on and dance around for 10 minutes. Like, even that's going to make you feel good. So there's lots and lots of research on that, guys, when it comes to exercise. Like, diet and exercise for depression are key. So if there's anything that you do, these are my top tips. Ditch the caffeine, ditch the alcohol, ditch the sugar, start exercising, add in legumes to your diet, add in omega-3s to your diet, add in 5 to 6 cups of fruit and veggies a day, and, you know, start eating a more plant-based diet. You still need the protein, you still need the meat, but it wants to be less, alrighty? Color's really important as well. So when you're looking at, you know, your fruits and veggies, so, you know, tomatoes, cucumbers, celery, red cabbage, all of those things, the more color, the better diversity we're going to have, and you're going to have a better diversity for your gut, which is going to really help you have a really good gut microbiome, or a really diverse microbiome, which is going to obviously help with how you feel. Fermented foods are okay as well, are good, but my only suggestion there would be if you feel like you may have like a gut bacteria or something like that, or you've got, you know, a lot of bloating, or you're windy and, you know, your poos aren't that good, then sometimes that can actually exacerbate things by adding in the fermented food. So, you know, that's when the testing comes in, and that's what I do. So, you know, looking at your gut microbiome and making sure that you haven't got that stuff there, so that you can, you know, add those new things back into your diet. So avoiding processed foods, avoiding packaged foods, avoiding alcohol, those are the things I said. The other thing that really does, you know, is stress. So when we're stressed, there's obviously that link as well to, you know, not feeling that great. But I think for, you know, a lot of us, what happens when we're stressed is we go and eat the wrong foods because that gives us pleasure. But then that pleasure is like that feedback loop, which is releasing that dopamine, and that dopamine comes back to, you know, wanting more. So we go and eat more chocolate, or we go and eat more chips, or we have another glass of wine, which then, you know, sets off the brain and the gut. And, you know, we're on that feedback loop of actually not feeling that great, especially the next day. You might feel good at the time, but, you know, not the next day. So guys, I think, you know, when it comes to, as I said before, depression, there's a lot we can do, and there's a lot you can do for yourself without actually having to go out and spend a lot of money. But if you're looking for more help around this area, and especially diet, then drop me a link, or drop me a link. I can drop you a link. Drop me a comment, as in, I want some help, or I need some help, and you know, let's have a chat and let's go and just take it from there, because really it is about just having that conversation, and it's not hard, and there's lots and lots of things that we can help you with, and hopefully stop you from going to a GP and getting put on medication, because I think every other client that I've had in the recently have been put on medication for a form of anxiety or depression. And we don't need to be going down that route. There's so much more we can do in terms of prevention before you go there. Sometimes people actually need medication, right? I'm not against it by any means. There's a time and a place for it. But when it comes to perimenopause and what you are actually experiencing right now, there's so much we can do, and there's so much help that I can give you before you go down that route. So ladies, I hope that's been helpful, and I hope you have an amazing week ahead. Please reach out if you do need help. You know where I am, in the group. Just request a link. Janelle can send that to you if you're looking for some help. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with some of you along the way this week. All right, have a great week, ladies. Bye for now.